Check.
I'll call the meeting to order. Mike, could you call roll?
Ms. Benecki.
Present.
Ms. Trask.
Here.
Mr. Essenberg.
Here.
Ms. Hollingworth.
Here.
Mr. Knuckles.
Here.
Mr. Ritter.
Here.
Ms. Sada.
Here.
Vice President Hooker.
Here.
President Brooker.
Here. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mike, could you please read the statement concerning open public meetings?
Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the Superintendent of Schools in the following manner. On January 8th, 2025, notice of this meeting was posted on the interior of the school administration offices, 95 Grove Street, Haddonfield. Written notice was submitted and filed with the Haddonfield Borough Clerk, and notices were emailed to the Courier Post and the Retrospect newspaper.
Thank you. We're going to kick off the board meeting today with Mr. Hackers leading us with the HMS Jazz Band performance.
Hey guys, so this is the HMS Jazz Ensemble as well as the vocal ped students from HMS. It's great to be here. We're going to play for you. We have a concert on May 21st, so hopefully you guys can make it out and support. It's actually at the high school because ticket sales were through the roof for the winter concert. So now we're doing it at the high school, which is very exciting. And Mrs. Thomas is going to talk about the vocal ped test.
So this year at the middle school, we had the opportunity to start a vocal pedagogy class where students could get individual voice lessons. And this really was an extension of our choir program for students that really wanted to go above and beyond. And so these are the students that you see here today. They're students that elected to take extra time out of their schedules to really study voice. We'll be performing Put a Little Love in Your Heart. We hope you enjoy.
I want to make one note before we start. We have Emmett Morrison, who sat in last minute. We had a last minute conflict with our drummer. So he came in yesterday, practiced with us, and now he's sitting in. So thank you, Emmett. He's also a member of the high school jazz band. He's the drummer. That's right. One, two, three.
Great job, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Fox, you want to, ready to do the health and PE audit presentation?
Just real quick before we get to this, those guys, Mr. Hecker, how many of those students were 6th and 7th graders? Would you say?
Everyone except 2. 3.
Wow.
So that just goes to show what's, when I talked last week or whenever it was, last time about what's in the pipeline. So
That's great.
That's
That's
really
really great.
And the majority of them are 6th graders.
That's amazing.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
great. I love to see the programs growing, and the presentation was fabulous. And we were just saying how we appreciate your arranging and scheduling to make sure we have performances at our meetings, because it's a really great opportunity for them to present, and much more positive than most of them.
We love it.
So I'm glad. We got one more. The high school jazz band will be here, and then I think that's it for this year. So let's pull this up here real quick. All right. So usually I'm up here to talk about HIV or the arts, but this one we're going to be talking about health and PE. We had a health and PE audit this year, so this is kind of just a culmination of that and the recommendations. We're going to go through this real quick. The curriculum committee saw a more in-depth presentation, so this is going to kind of be a highlight of it. Before we even get started, though, I just want to highlight our team. I have my team behind me. Nate Engel, who's at Central Elementary, Rachel Gold, who's at HMS and HMHS, Lindsay Kocher, who's at HMS, Dan Dortone, HMHS, and Sean Sweeney, who's at HMS. Now, just to say, this audit is very different compared to a lot of other audits that you saw, right? So a lot of the other audits, we have benchmark testing, we have NJ school reports, we can look at data from different schools. We don't have that to jump off here, right? I relied a lot on them. I kind of had a vision of what I wanted to do, but I relied on them coming to me and saying, this is how we think we can make the program better. So it was a lot of them reflecting on themselves, on the program, and what they can do. So the parameters of it were curriculum alignment, instructional practice, professional development, facilities and equipment, student engagement, participation, and community partnership and resources. We're just going to be talking today about the overview of the audit process and the survey data, strength and areas of growth, and then the last will be the recommendations and next steps.
So I'm just going to talk to you real quick about the audit process. It was a pretty quick process. We started it this year. So starting at the beginning of the school year, we started meeting as a team, kind of going through, like what Rob said, with the little bit of data that we could collect, going through with looking at our own, what we're already doing, what our practices are, looking at the alignment with the standards and things like that. So we spent the first bit of doing that. We engaged with stakeholders by getting some surveys out to our students, to our families. We were able to survey some local districts and then do some site visits. This summer we'll be using the time to do some curriculum map writing for some of the improvements we want to make to our current courses. And then looking ahead for next year, some of our proposals of things that we would like to get to come out of this audit. Doing some PD that centers around that, the PALS program, which I know was talked about an extent at the curriculum committee meeting, and then a new elective, trying to figure out what direction we want to go with that, and then next summer writing that curriculum, and then looking to implement that for the following school year. Sorry, I don't know what's happening. And then obviously as we go through this, monitoring and adjusting as we need to. So our research, where we got information from some of the schools that we visited, was through using our NJ DOE contacts, getting some information from them about some really exceptional programs so that we could go and visit those schools and get an idea of what they're doing. We did an analysis of our own curriculum, and then, like I said, kind of reviewed it from there, doing some surveys and school visits. So just to show you, we're in alignment with the state standard. And then our BOE policy that we have to have 150 minutes for PE for grades 1 through 12. So districts that we were able to visit 3. We had groups of our team members. Our whole team didn't attend each of these. I was able to attend the second 2. So we had a group that went up to South Brunswick High School. This was where he has a really unique perspective of bringing a lot of elementary games back into PE at the high school level, and what that looks like. And we do some of that already in our classes, especially on block days, how we've kind of been able to break up our block days with actually bringing back some of that. So it was really good for our team to see new ways to incorporate that. At Lenape, we were able to observe their PALS program, which I think for me it was like the most meaningful and impactful thing that I got from this audit. And then we also visited Evesham, where he's working a lot with technology in the PE classroom. I'm gonna turn it over.
Yeah, so I'll just talk briefly about the data. I'm just going to go through this real quick. So we sent a survey out to all the families. As to be expected, elementary really came back to the students. Love it from the families. It's a favorite of theirs. They love the inclusive and non-competitive activities, sensing back to the elementary. The biggest thing that we got out of that is they like to see more communication. Middle school, they like to see a little bit more variation of the content that the students are doing. They want to see a greater emphasis on mental health in the health classroom, and once again, communication. And then the high school, the feedback we got was the PE teachers are passionate. The students enjoy PE and see it as a break in their day, and they would like to see a little bit more diverse electives offered. For the student survey, there was really nothing to surprise us here. Elementary, obviously a large majority of the students love PE. Middle school, 50-50, and that's something we want to look to switch. I would say the one takeaway from this slide that kind of took us back a little bit was that the elementary and middle school PE, the number of students that said that they don't find health as engaging as we would like to see. So that's something we're going to be addressing in our recommendations. High school, we did more of a qualitative study, and these are the things we got back to the students, like the games. They like the physical activity benefits of it. They would like to see more student choice, class structure. It goes back to what the parents were saying about electives, quality of equipment, and a competitive balance between competitive sports and more of maybe a cooperative sports thing. And then same thing with the health for the high school, classroom environment. They loved teaching styles. They liked about the content that they studied. Things that they like to see more, group work and discussions, engagement level of the class structure. From a district standpoint, like Rachel said, we did survey a bunch of districts throughout South Jersey and J districts. It's kind of reflective of that. And then we did do a little bit of a deeper dive for some things. She talks about a PALS program. PALS program is kind of a cross between unified PE, if you're familiar with that, and adaptive PE. So adaptive PE, just so you know, is a class that is geared towards special needs students, and it's only those students in that class. So unified PE is where it's a class where special ed and general ed students are together. We are looking to create a class called PALS, which kind of bridges that, more of a unified. The reason why we checked out Lenape Regional is because they felt that they didn't want to do the adaptive PE, right, and make it just one group. To do a true unified class requires a lot of requirements, right? Staffing, whatnot. And they knew that they couldn't fulfill that. So they came up with a thing called PALS. It was, like Rachel said, it was awesome. So that's something we're looking to do here. You can see for middle school, 57.1% of districts surveyed have an adaptive/unified PE. At the high school, 85.7%. We kind of have an organic version running of it right now, but we want to make it a true elective. You'll see that in the recommendations. And then the second thing is we looked at the number of students at the high school, what are allowed to opt out of PE for freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. We were looking specifically at freshmen. Of the schools that responded to our survey, and then of other schools that we were able to go out and look at their programming studies, 92.3% of students, schools do not in New Jersey that we found do not allow students to opt out or take option 2 for physical education for their freshman year. Oh, and I should highlight, 55% of our freshmen are currently enrolled at some point during the school year in PE.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see you all again. I see some of you missed coming to these meetings so much you signed up for another round. Can't say I'm the same. So, just some of the strengths and weaknesses, and it was one of the things I know Rob and Rachel already kind of touched on some of these already. But the elementary, the program itself, really strong. Areas for growth. It talks about communication and maybe timing of how some of the things are happening in the pacing guides. Middle school, again, it was where they were looking for communication. better communication to families, increase the quality of the equipment students have, the ability to do different things. And I know some of you already know we applied for an AGT grant. So we have rollerblades, they have come in. So we'll be doing rollerblades in middle school next year. We've already talked to Mr. Catalano and Mr. McHale about, let me finish, about possibly doing some bicycling or staying on that side of town so we don't cross any main roads or anything, but possibly bringing that in for a PE option as well. So I think with those things, that'll help strengthen where we want to go with it. In the high school, I know Dan is already working on a couple things too to bring to the high school, some different options that don't yet exist that they can do within class. So I know he's working on that right now, talking about it, getting different ideas, and I think he was talking to Jay about some of that stuff as well. So areas for growth, again, it talked about communication, increasing opportunities, but the students felt very supported. Mental health was definitely a focus at the high school as well. And speaking of mental health, I want to say thank you for letting us go down this road. Thank you, Mr. Fox, for leading us down this road because it is nice to feel valued. And this hasn't been done in PE and health as long as I've been here. So it's well needed, and we appreciate that. I don't think there was anything else. Nope, that was a recommendation.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to talk to you real quick about just elementary and middle school recommendations. So throughout this whole process, going through all the data and analyzing, the surveys from parents, family members, and also the students. For elementary, you'll see that elementary and middle school have a lot of the similar recommendations. They vary slightly at the end, but we're trying to sort of condense our curriculums. So right now, currently our curriculums, they have a lot of information, which is great. There's a lot of detail, but a lot of it can be sort of brought down to really 3 units. Movement skills and concepts, physical fitness, and lifelong fitness. So as we embark on that journey of sort of rebuilding those curriculums and going through, that's kind of the structure we're looking to go with there. And then also for elementary, evaluating the health curriculum so we can adjust topics amongst the grade bands. So you have grades 3 through 5 and then 1 through 2 to identify additional resources and activities to make health more engaging. When Rob went over sort of the survey data for health, there was not a lot of excitement in the health classroom. So what we're going to try and do is bring that back through different sort of hands-on activities and not a lot of just talking and lecturing, but the kids actually learning a deeper sort of connection with the material. So that's going to be a big focus point. And then lastly, for elementary school, we want to move the 5th grade puberty talks from the springtime to the fall. So currently those talks have not happened yet this school year. And with recent studies and, puberty, onset puberty is happening a lot earlier, and it's starting to increase. So we think it'd be more beneficial to move those talks from the springtime to the fall to sort of get ahead of all that and answer some questions or try to be, some sort of person that people can go to answer this question. So that's a big change.
What's the cost? I don't why?
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Yeah, so the cost of impact is $425 for 10 curriculum hours. So it's
rewriting
the curriculum.
Everybody answered that in here.
rewriting the curriculum.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's already budgeted for. So when Mike gives his budget,
Good.
that's on budget.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then for middle school, this is the top 2 are pretty much the same. You want to reevaluate the health curriculum, sort of bring some excitement back there with more hands-on activities. We also want to adjust the PE guides as well, the curriculums to sort of change those to those 3 units: movement skills and concepts, physical fitness, and lifelong fitness. And those 3 are actually the NJ, the New Jersey standards as well. That's kind of how they're grouped throughout the state, which would be universal for us as well. So that would be good. And then lastly, the 2 bottom ones, we want to integrate activities and lessons that are based more on the cooperative PE model. Rachel was talking about, I was not there, but I heard great things about Ray Ostrowski at South Brunswick High School, who uses a lot of elementary games at the high school level. Battleship was the big one that he had spoken to us about, which is awesome. I think there's a lot of studies out there that kind of go towards that, it increases the self-confidence of kids and gets them more engaged in PE, for that reason. Instead of more just competitive games, it's more collaborative and cooperative games, which is good. And then lastly, increase the quality of the equipment available to the students. So if we want to do all this and really make it worthwhile, we're going to look to sort of increase the quality of equipment. You know, the middle school team has already started with that rollerblades and all that kind of stuff. So.
What other equipment is, I know you guys have said that a couple of times, what is the equipment that you're targeting?
Yeah, so I think it depends on what the games and the activities and where we're trying to go with those cooperative games. You know, based on the Battleship game, I know there's specific equipment with some cooperative games so that all kids can enjoy it at once, and it's not like a thing where, you know, maybe not just stations, but every kid is available. It has enough equipment for everyone to sort of be available and ready to be engaged in that activity.
So this is not equipment we have that's broken or old. This is new equipment we're going to invest in.
Yes.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, through grants, like the rollerblades, talk about like maybe kettlebells, right, doing something like that, like circuit training, right, like different types of things.
We've been pretty crafty with how we come up with different things, at least over the course of the last year or two, and how we create and use different things that, you know, the dollar store and pool noodles, you could do a heck of a lot. So,
Maybe.
and how cheap they are.
Yeah, and maybe some equipment too that can be durable and used year after year as well within these cooperative games would be nice too. So.
Very good.
All right, so for the high school, the beginning kind of follows the same with the movement skills and concepts, physical fitness and lifelong fitness, aligning this curriculum out. That also aligns with our vertical articulation that I am so much about. You know, you see it in music, started it in art. I'm already having conversations in world language, right, with middle school and high school. So this is just another component of that, right? Because I think it's very important that we're vertically aligned K through 12. So this just really, when we all have the same looking curriculum maps, obviously the activities are going to be different, but it just really helps us stay grounded in that as well. Implementation for all freshmen, they're required to take one marking period. There's one marking period of PE their freshman year, starting in the 26-27 school year. For this slide, I did put an impact on student schedules, because obviously that's one thing we want to focus on at the high school level. So having freshmen take that, they would take it for one marking period throughout their freshman year, and we already have 55% of the student body freshmen to take that. So 45% do not enter PE at all their freshman year. So that equates to about 86 freshman students. Already talked to Mr. Holman. That is not an issue as far as scheduling. It will not require any additional staffing or anything like that. Physical activity, leadership, and service. That's the PALS program that we've talked about. Implementing that would be an elective. They would run a marking period, and the students would elect into that. And that would run for marking period. If they want to elect into it again, the second marking period, they can. And then integrate activities into lessons that are based, like we've talked about before, the cooperative PE. That'll be addressed from the curriculum audit. Same thing, equipment, looking to upgrade equipment, but offsetting that with HET grants and what other opportunities may be out there. Mr. Sweeney and I have talked about, there's a New Jersey Department of Transportation runs a like Safe New Jersey Routes schools, Safe New Jersey schools, I forgot the exact thing, but a grant to provide bikes and stuff to schools. So that's something that we're looking into as well. So the problem is we don't necessarily qualify for a lot of grants. So that is a challenge that we have. From a district standpoint, full day of PE, PD during November. We already ran one this past year that was very successful. That cost me $1,500 we have budgeted for. However, this past year, we were able to offset almost all that cost. So we ran a PD and we offset, I believe, and Mike would know the exact number, and I'm not putting on the spot, but I want to say it was like $60, right, is what it actually cost us at the end, because we were able to bring in so many teachers from other districts and charge them, and we hosted it. So we're looking to do the same thing again this year. We had two amazing PD presenters. This crew actually was like, can we bring them back? Because I was looking at other people. So I just spoke to him this afternoon to confirm the date. So we're going to be bringing them back. Adaptive Unified PE, looking to do PD for that. New Jersey AFER is the New Jersey PE and Health group that supports New Jersey PE and health teachers throughout the state of New Jersey. They do run a PD on that, so we'll be looking to send 2 teachers to that. Or a teacher or 2 to that, as well as the New Jersey AFER that Dan was able to attend back in the end of February and found it incredibly beneficial. Right? Yeah, and that was the first time I understand in years that we've sent someone to that conference. So, and then work on that with PE health teachers and principals, Polly Mitchell, to develop a way to communicate the activities that are taking place within our PE and health, right? So promote that. That was one thing that the parents said, is they like more communication. So that's something that we're going to look to do, whether it's in the monthly newsletter, a little blurb, something. So, and I already have some wheels spinning on some ideas. So, but I want to talk to her before I officially make things official. This is what we're looking at for the budget, 25, 26, $1,700. That is already budgeted for. And then 26, 27 would be the 4850 for a grand total of 6,550. That 4850, remember, is $4,000 we're looking for equipment. However, we believe we can offset a lot of that through the HET grant, if nothing else. And then yearly costs we like to be included is for our professional development, for us to bring presenters in. Once again, large majority of that we think would be offset by participating schools. So, and that is it.
Thank you.
I love that you're bringing in the other schools. It's good for everyone, and then to be able to offset the costs. I mean, we absolutely love what you're doing. It's great to do it and then offset the cost at the same time.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
It's great because it's not offered a lot of places. Like we sat for years not having any PD for years. So I think having other schools come in, I think they're really appreciating.
Yeah,
there's a need for
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
huge
get to
market.
network too while they're.
That's
here.
what, yeah, it's
Yeah,
wonderful
really
to
great.
build that. Like I know back when, like as a specials teacher, right? Like we would host in Gloucester County, like it would go to a different school each year of like, and then all of like the art teachers would come to one school, and it's like, then you're not on an island. So it's so nice to see that you are building these networks and getting actual training in that. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, and a lot of smaller just like, small just want to meet parents, like
Yeah.
they send their teachers,
Yeah.
right? Because they're only one PE teacher. So they like came and they're like, this is amazing.
I
Like,
think
we're
it's like
fortunate that we
really
have it.
Yeah, and the more you do it, the more people know that you'll do it, and then that can be a routine that
Yeah.
people will come here.
That's sort of, and we're doing that across all
Right.
related arts. That's not even just
That's
PE.
great.
That's,
Love that.
Yeah.
so I already have music set up, art, Blick, company
Oh,
Blick.
okay.
So so I have other things in the works too. So, but awesome. Well,
Good
thank you very
job.
much,
Thank
guys.
you for this.
Nice job,
And Rob is certainly the Renaissance man. He's got music,
Yeah.
art, TV, and coming up next. So he's gonna have us all covered.
I'm gonna take a year off. Right?
Thank you for your efforts, everyone. Really appreciate it. Great job.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for coming. Everyone, thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night, folks. Good night. Okay, Mr. Catalano, you are up with the budget.
All right, so tonight's our public hearing for the fiscal year 26 budget. What I'm mainly focusing on tonight is taxes, tax impact. That's what I can go over now that, because what's happened since the last time we spoke about the budget, the executive county superintendent has approved the budget. So now it's on the board's hands to adopt the budget for fiscal year 26. So what drives our budget, I'm going to stick with revenues, and our expenditures are something I covered out a lot more detail the last budget presentation I had, but I'm gonna refresh you and just go over what the key things are. Operating budget's increasing 3.72%. It's about I believe it's about 1.2 million. Oh, it's 1.7 million. I wrote somewhere. $1.7 million. This is old news to you guys. State aid went down 2.16%, $72,000.
Might be old news, but worth repeating.
Yes. And it's here, right? Yeah. The local tax levy, 2.94%. That's our proposed increase on the general fund tax levy, which that is $1.2 million. That's where we're going to move from. And I will get to that in the next slide. 2 slides from now. No, this slide. Okay. So these are your advertised revenue lines. Again, $1.2 million. That is our increase in the tax levy, which percent increase is 2.994%. I will go into much more detail in a few slides from now. Okay. Just another thing to point out: biggest substantial revenue line here. You see the increase in the tuition. That's our EDKP. Okay. Also, this is a copy and paste from my last presentation. I point out, we're in the education industry. personnel costs are always somewhere between 70 and 80%. We're 74% between these two pieces of the pizza. Okay, that's typical in our industry. So I said pizza, and now I'm making choice. Okay, new stuff. Now, in our committee, the whole
Real
conversation.
quick, I'm sorry, I don't mean
Yes.
to interrupt you, but professional education services is the next largest. I just want to make sure we see what the next largest percentage is, which is professional education services, and which is one would think would be our faculty, which is not.
No,
So this
no.
is our contracted services.
Contracted services for education, not for central services,
Okay.
not for facilities. And this is not just special education. There's also hired or purchased professional service for general education that is included
Okay.
in that 12%. All right. In our committee, the whole conversation, one thing Chuck went over was the effect on the average household. And Chuck also broke it down between debt service and the general fund, which I have for you. But the average assessed home for 2025, $535,000. That's up $5,000 from the year before. And what the estimated tax impact total, all levies, general fund and debt service, $350 a year on that average assessed home of $535,000. That's what the impact is. That includes the referendum you just went out for, and we successfully passed.
Okay, so that
Yes.
isn't alone for
So-
this year. That's
Okay.
The general fund portion of that impact is $191 of that $350. $159 is debt service, which includes the referendum, the new
Okay.
debt for referendum, and the increase on that rate is 3.56%, okay? A lot of rates.
Yeah, I feel like that
I'm
one,
gonna
that one
cover
just
this.
muddies
This
the
is-
waters, right? So what you're saying is that if you count the amount that we're increasing for the operational costs and the amount that we're increasing for the referendum, altogether, that equals 3.56%.
So the increase in the general fund tax levy is $1.2 million. The increase on the debt service levy is a little over $700,000. Between the both of them, there's a 3.56% increase on the levies. I will talk more about that. But I have to show you how we get to our levy, right? This is, we're in a business that the revenues drive what we can spend, not the other way around. So our levy for the current year we're in, fiscal year 25, $41,030,625. Then what we're allowed to do statutorily, 2%. There's your 2% this year, $820,000. And then that's what brings us to 41.8, okay? And there are things we're allowed to take advantage of if that doesn't require voter approval to go above 2%. That includes use of bank cap for these other two adjustments, enrollment adjustment and healthcare adjustment. Healthcare adjustment was over $600,000 in an adjustment that we could take, okay? So we use it all. That extra 0.94%, remember we're going up 2.94%, that's this from the healthcare adjustment that we generated this year. Which brings it to $42.2 million. That increase, $1.2 million, that's your 2.94% increase on the levy, general fund levy. Anecdotally, that bank cap I just talked, if we don't use any of these adjustments or we don't go to our statutory 2%, you have to go to 2% to use these adjustments. If you don't use that 2% or you don't use a generated adjustment, that goes to what's called bank cap. $386,000 can be used in subsequent years' budgets to go above 2%. Okay. So bank cap has an increase. There's about $159,000 in bank cap. That next year is the last year that we could use. Okay, but because of the unused adjustment for healthcare, that brought it up to 386.
And like, correct me if I'm wrong, but next year, if we get an enrollment adjustment, which we likely will, we change the bank cap until we use all of our adjustments. So
Right.
that 159,000 is likely, we've decided not to spend that this year, is likely we'll not be able to, we likely will not get to spend that. We're saying rather than raise taxes more, we're gonna leave that on the table, knowing that that's probably gonna go away.
Yeah.
So we're cognizant of the fact that there's money sitting there that we may or may not be able to use, but we also are cognizant we just passed a bond referendum and trying to make sure we're staying in what we feel is.
When you say money used, I just want to make sure I'm saying this correctly. It's not like it's money that we already have sitting in a bank.
It's money we can get some
that
tax.
we can raise
Correct.
the tax rate. Like, so it's
Take
a
through
potential
taxes,
pool of taxpayer money we can pull from.
Yeah.
And so we're saying, we're not gonna go there because we already passed the referendum and we're gonna
And we're
so
using
we
all of
might
that now.
lose that potential.
Correct.
Okay, but it's not actually money that we have.
No,
It's money
correct.
that we could.
Yes, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah,
So no, I wanted to
it's
make sure.
important. It's a lot of these questions, because it's so confusing, we want to clarify one for all of us, but also for the public, because it is confusing. And we are statutorily bound to so many rules that, to me, like, you look at it, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, the fact that money that could be ours is really taxpayer money, they don't say that. And so letting people know that some grants are actually
Like, we're allowed
just allowed
to
to raise
take
taxes
up to
to
this
get it.
amount, but we're only gonna take up to this.
Right. You're a taxing authority.
Yes.
You are allowed to go that much more to taxpayers.
Okay.
That money's not actually in a bank.
Okay.
That's
But
not
also,
in
you know,
a bank.
banked cap could.
Yeah.
Right.
Banked capacity for
Thank you.
additional
Thanks for the legal
taxation.
term.
Did you have a question? Linda?
Well, I'm really, really glad that you said that, Chuck, because, you know, there's so many numbers and this percent for that, and frankly, anybody who is just skimming through this, it's just alphabet soup. But that's really the most important thing. Like, this district had to find over $1 million to meet budget this year. This is a tough time. We've had a couple of years of a really tough time. And there is money that we could go get to help with that budget, but because we're concerned about, we don't think the community can bear anymore, we're saying, no, it's difficult. This is a difficult place to be. And I think that it really is worth paying attention to what Mr. Klaus said, that this will go away. And we've said, we're willing to take that hardship and find ways to do it otherwise, because we don't think we can keep going to the community.
It's just, these are the actual rates. So I break it down by general fund and debt service fund, 3.56%. That's the effective tax rate that you'll see. So that $350 increase in the average assessment is 3.56% increase. Right here, like what it is per $100,000 of assessed values, and then I go into scenarios of what's later. I go into scenarios of like what it is for different levels of. But I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So I have to say congratulations to a lot of people in this room, because your assessed valuations are maintaining, and the net taxable valuation from calendar year 2024, 2025 increased by $20 million of money to spread that increase. Our levy, that over $40 million levy, that increase is going over a number, $2.4 billion. That's $20 million more than last year. The effect of that net valuation going up by $2 million, let me just skip through all this. The effect decreases the effective tax rate by 0.83%. So let me go back real quick. I said 3.56%, but specifically for the general fund, because I can't touch this. I don't do anything with this. The voters voted for it. That is what it is. This is what we're really voting on, like the increase in the general fund. If that increase didn't happen, that'd be 0.83% higher, roughly 0.83% higher.
So that
hence 2.94%, right? It's close. It's like 2.92, right? But I'm talking about rates on rates. So that's what it is. So Just so you know, what drives the increase in net valuations? New construction improvements, more assessments that go into the pool of net valuations.
Right, because we don't
So,
get,
go ahead.
I'm just gonna complicate it and say something that I know that I find interesting, but I'm afraid I'll just confuse it.
Well,
Be interesting.
So, when somebody builds a house, when they knock down a house and they build up a new house, and that new house becomes much more expensive, which we know is happening all over, that house tax money does not go into our tax levy. But no, it doesn't. Our tax levy stays stagnant except for the fact of what we can raise. And so when we say, oh, we're raising 2.83%, we're raising that, but now all those new houses are sharing that 2.83%, even though their full tax rate is really just going to
and there's
the commissioners. Not that they don't need it too, but that just goes to the borough as opposed to.
I just want to say this before Chuck, because I want
Here you
to.
go. You go, Mike.
And now
So,
we're all just flexing.
There's also shelters from this. Does anybody know what would shelter a valuation from?
No, Mr. Catalano.
Yeah.
So, a pilot agreement, if there is
Oh, the
a
pilot.
pilot,
No,
so
okay.
I'm not a tax assessor. I have no professional standpoint to tell you what it could be, but if there is a plowman agreement on a property in town, what could be, now, by the way, the land is still taxable, but not the improvements. Typically, improvements are, unless it's like huge acres of property in a tiny little house, improvements are far more valuable assessment-wise than the land. That is sheltered from this. So
yeah, so the pilot will
that
not
pilot,
have to share this
that pilot does not share the burden of what we're talking about.
So when we were at the borough meeting and I was talking to the gentleman from Woodmont, called me out. The point I was trying to make is that we can only go up 2%, but where the pilot impacts the citizens of the town is that it doesn't change that total assessed value, which would repaying off in 20 years. The pilot is 30 years, so those people will never actually help support the bond referendum, which is why we need to sit down with the borough and start talking.
I will say, I cannot, in my heart of hearts, believe that commissioners who care about this town and about the students in this borough, I cannot, in my heart of hearts, believe that the commissioners will not be giving a portion of that pilot. I cannot believe that.
Yeah, and I think when our new commissioners are elected, and we've spoken with them, so to continue those conversations, and I also can't believe that it's unusual for a borough not to share with the school district, and so we are, and a 30-year pilot is, I mean,
A lot depends on what goes on.
seems
If it's
surprising.
a warehouse sometimes.
Yeah, right. But when you have that many students, but
Yeah.
this is from the school funding meeting that we went to, and also a 30-year pilot is really a long time. So having those conversations with the newly elected commissioners would be really.
Yeah, because what we just talked about is we care about fairness to the taxpayers, and that wouldn't be fair to all the other taxpayers. Okay.
We're ready for you, Mike.
Yeah.
You guys never had so much fun talking about tax.
Never.
These are the scenarios I told you I'd show you. So on assessed values of a residential home at 300, 500, 700,000, this is what the increase looks like. And then again, I stick with the average assessed value, 535, which I was involved with. They're $350 annually. That's what the increase is. This is the borough provides this, and this is from 2024 because 2025 is not done yet. So I just show you so you understand for the taxpayers at Haddonfield what the share of the school tax is for the property tax. You've got about 59%, and that's stayed pretty close to the same in the time I've been here. Last year was just under 58%. So no strong deviation from what I've seen in the past. My favorite, I love this.
$1,000,000.
But I will say, this year, these pennies have moved around more than ever. So follow me real quick. From last year, I have comparison from last year. Last year, general fund went down 2 pennies, special ed went up 1, facilities went down 1, debt service went up 2, understandably. We just passed on. Central office went down a penny, tech went up a penny, the rest of the same. If you're moving 2 pennies, that's a lot.
Yeah.
2 pennies is a big move for, again, I've only ever seen a penny shift before. This was the most.
So where was the 2 penny shift?
General fund went down 2, debt service went up 2. So there's your.
Okay. But then, yeah, the
But
debt
again,
service
like-
one makes sense.
So the general fund portion of our taxes, it didn't go down. It's just less proportionate now because things went up and down in other areas, right? So again, debt service, you're talking about a over $3 million levy. It just went up substantially for debt service, going up by $700,000 for over $3 million. That's a big percentage increase.
And special ed went up by how much?
Okay. Special ed had consistently goes up by a penny. And I off my memory, I know it went up by at least a penny, like from the year before when I was talking to you guys last year. Okay. That's what I got for you guys. Again, this is our public hearing. Before you vote, you'll have public comment. That's their time to give public input on our budget. But first, any other questions?
I was just going to say, I really like the last slide, and I think we should call that Mike's money slide. Because
So, all
it's
right.
really-
There's a history.
I know. You were just saying what you said about commissioners. I have to give credit
There
where
you
credit
go.
is due. A former board member was the gentleman who pointed me in that direction, made me do it, and
Nice.
I think it's such a powerful image. I have to keep doing it.
Thanks,
Other
Mike.
BAs, when it comes to budget presentations, that's the slide that I'm asked about the most. Hey, can I see?
Yeah, it's
So
just, it's very clear
It's-
to.
It was
It's your
David.
tax dollar.
He's doing it.
And
now.
it's literally.
Yeah, he's showing it to.
So we gotta
He's
share
showing
it.
it.
It's very helpful. Good origin, but yeah, I really like
So
this.
thanks, Dave.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Well done.
Yes, good job, Mike.
All right, it is very early in the month, but maybe we had late meetings last month that we haven't reported out yet on May.
Yeah, I will be super quick though, because, so we met, I just looked at my notes here, we met, I think, on April 16th. We just got live from our own Mr. Fox, a really awesome presentation that we heard, I guess, a week or so ago. And again, just huge kudos to Rob and his whole team. You heard that live again just now, but worth reiterating the really thoughtful, comprehensive approach that was taken. And, you know, I think that's just, it's really cool to see as a parent and a board member how, you know, all the good work that goes into thinking through how do we make this time fun, but also meaningful to kids in all the different ways. So nice job. Dr. Blair joined us and talked briefly, and it was sort of a precursor to a future conversation where we're going to be looking at out-of-district placements for students with special needs. And I believe we will dive in on that in our May curriculum committee meeting. And then last, Katie Roussos joined us to talk about some new HMHS recommendations for novels for summer reading. There's been a very thoughtful process involving teachers and students to get feedback on how to make summer reading more engaging, less like, you know, kids wait till 2 days before school and then try and read something. So incorporating additional books that are, you know, relevant and interesting and sound like maybe something that we should have our own little book club since we all have so much spare reading time.
You don't want to read
budgets and, no, I do
House
not.
walls.
But I would totally read any of these 5 books that are on the list. And yeah, it was a good meeting. That's it.
Any questions?
I will just say that a book came from Amazon today, and I opened it up and said, "What is this?" From Brene Brown, and it is going to be used in her class. And I was like, I want to read that when you're done. So it's just very different than the standard stuff that people have to read. And
That's right.
promoting that love of reading is such a
That's a challenge with summer work, especially with reading. Is what is the goal? Is the goal to make them be able to answer questions, or is it to develop a love of reading?
Yes.
So I think you've got to walk that line where you do make something that's going to be meaningful for them as readers. I say this now because I'm no longer teaching English, but like I would challenge an English teacher, like if teaching American, what's the best novel you read? It's like Catcher in the Rye, whatever it is. Have that in your summer reading. And the answer's like, no, I want to talk to the kids about that. But that's the one you should be reading in the summer, right? So that's one of those things that's really that balance there.
All right, Greg, do you have anything for finance?
Yeah, brief update. We met on the 15th. Updated some current projects. The C-wing elevator here should be, we got all the parts ordered and they're going to start right after the school year ends. The stormwater pipe repair behind the stadium will be completed by the end of May. And the ESIP work, which we've discussed in prior meetings, they began with the envelopes of the buildings, basically sealing the buildings. If you came in tonight, they were replacing lights, and those are the first 2 projects, and the bigger projects will follow after that.
These are new lights, right?
Oh,
It's right. It's
I
right.
have to tell you, honey, I thought they looked
I
different.
was looking when Nate was standing there because he's tall, and I was like, "This just seems different."
Yeah, they look good.
It was a test.
So just for
We all
fun,
failed.
just for fun when you leave today, if you look at the second row in and you follow all the way down to the end, when I got here in 1993, I said, why is that set of lights turned the wrong way? So I guess I was hoping that when they put new light fixtures in, they would turn that to match the rest of them, but for whatever reason, it's still
It's a little legacy thing,
That's it.
just for you.
This building in Tatum has the most light work to do. The other 2 buildings, we did a move where we took a lot of care of it before the ESIP, but this building in Tatum, lighting.
Yeah, it looks good.
In progress.
All right, are you still, were you done? We got distracted by the lights.
There is a request to close the playgrounds after school, so is it Amvest? Alphabet, I'm sorry. Wanted to have exclusive use of the playgrounds. We've decided to leave the playgrounds open to the community so they wouldn't have exclusive for after school hours. And then the summer paint crew, we are going to continue because it's been a success in the past, so we're going to continue.
And Greg, just a question, can Alphabest
Alphabest
students
can't use it unless it's exclusive. So that's the
Can't
point
do
that I was gonna make, is that there's
Okay.
state regulation that prohibits Alphabest from using the playground if the playground is open to the community. They can only use the playground if the playground is closed to their exclusive use, which I think we're gonna talk about this further in finance.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, maybe find
It's
it.
called commingling. You can't-
Yeah, that was my recollection. I just remember my kids in that program being disappointed that they couldn't.
Yeah.
It's a compliance thing with Office of Early Childhood and then also library.
Mhm.
So they go outside, but not at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's,
like, that was my question, is like, are they able to utilize it later in the day?
Sure.
Because it's always
They-
just right after school
they
that
wait,
people.
right, they
Okay,
wait until that
that's
after
what I
school
remember.
rush is going. Then
At Tatum, they often weren't outside till like 4:50.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
It's hard.
It's hard. There's always that, there's always those.
The push and pull. Yeah.
It's going to be a continuing
Rules,
conversation.
yeah, we'll
Yeah.
talk some more about that.
Okay.
Now I'm done.
Any other questions for Greg?
Thank you.
Matt, do you have anything?
Our next meeting is coming up next week. Just as a reminder, there's 4 policies up for second reading and adoption. So in case you review those one more time, if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank
I
you.
saw a typo on one of them. I forget which one it was. I believe it was student grievance has like an extra word.
Okay,
Student grievance or academic integrity. When the edits, there's,
okay,
it's in the first paragraph.
okay, we'll take a look and get that corrected, thank you.
No problem.
Linda, do you have anything for LRF?
Nope, we're meeting on May 12th.
PTA updates? I just want to share again another plug for July 16th, the HET golf tournament. They, our
July, I was gonna say
June. What did I say?
July.
I even wrote July. I know it's June. June 16th is the HET golf tournament. When we had our PE audit, they were talking about the funding that they received for the rollerblades. So it's really important that if we can support them and you can be there, that would be great. If you're not a golfer, the dinner is great. So come for dinner. Last year it was outside, so it was very nice. So yes, so yeah, and we can coordinate to go at the same time, so we can just get a table. So
June 16th?
June 16th.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I want a golf bag.
Oh, that's
If I-
nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
You golf
was
at all?
only a little bit sad because I don't golf and I don't know anybody who does. But I found a neighbor who was thrilled.
Oh, well, there you go. And it was pink, if I remember right, wasn't it? Like ladies golf?
I think if it was pink, I would have made use of it.
Oh.
I gave it to my friend's
Not even the
husband.
Tito's
so-
golf.
Oh, okay. It was
Oh,
Tito's.
that's
Oh, it
right,
was
that's
Tito's.
right.
I remember it was very specific
Yeah.
Chuck probably
marketing.
would have liked it.
I know. Well, I never win anything, so I was thrilled.
Yeah, but I figured you'd win things you don't
Yeah.
use. Okay. All right, no one else for PTA updates? We're good?
No, Central's was postponed last night.
Regulation for board review, 5516, use of electronic communication devices. Any questions on that one? Dr. Priolo is not here. Congratulations to his daughter, she's graduating.
Yes.
Mr. Klaus?
A few quick things. As I'm sure you know, we're entering testing season. The NJ GPA was recent last month, but now we're going into the AP testing starting in the NJSLA. Mr. Fisher does a great psych video those kids are going to see about getting ready for the test and take tests. And I actually sat in with Central School's peer leader team, students this week, and they're writing notes to all the kids saying, don't get nervous, do your best. It's really nice. So that's happening. If you happen to go down Hopkins Lane, you'll know the Cooley Hall is gone, except for two things. There's a bunch of pipes sitting there. As they were tearing it down, they're asbestos containing, so the group who tore it down could not remove those. They have to get removed by someone else, so they're taking care of that. And there's a transformer sitting out there, a lonely transformer in the middle. We're trying to find out why that hasn't come down yet. We're not sure about what's under that and what is happening. So we're trying to get an answer about that transformer. Mr. Fox is still here, right? So we found out, we've been working with the Geraldine Dodge Art Integration for several years. It's professional development. We send people to the summer. It's free. It's up in Princeton. It's always a nice 3 or 4 days. People go up there and do that. We've been selected to actually present this year.
Oh, nice.
Right there. So that's a great thing. So
Congrats,
we're
that's
excited about
awesome.
that. Yes.
Awesome.
And now if we can indulge for a feel-good story for a couple of minutes.
Yes, please.
Got a call last night from Dr. Sirico. I'm sure most of you know. There's going to be I'm going to be a little vague here with some of the details because of anonymity. In a recent class reunion from the early 80s, we found out that there was one of the alumni needed a kidney. And so the word went out for this, and then another alumni in the same class tested and was the perfect match.
Oh my God.
So she's donating her kidney.
Wow.
That's a feel good story. The reason I tell you that is about 15 or 16 of their classmates were going to go donate blood as a quarter spray, right, to support them. It turned out that the Red Cross had a cancellation Sunday, so we are going to now hold the blood drive in the high school cafeteria from 9 to 3, Mike? 9 to 2. So if you're around Sunday and you have nothing to do with some extra blood to give, There's gonna be a blood drive,
Here.
supporting that effort. So it's a nice story. So, and we're gonna probably put something out tomorrow, so everyone knows, but that's a great story. And, we're happy we could help. Mike did a great job today. Like Mike spent half his day, I think, running around putting this together for us. So we appreciate that, Mike. But so that's happening. So
That's powerful.
It's such an important way to really powerfully impact someone's life for a pinch and a lay down for about 15 minutes. So.
And you get apple
That's great.
juice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You might get
Some Oreos.
So as much, I love driving down Hopkins Ave right now. But I, when I drove down today, I had a thought, because I know that we pay for that fencing. And we're renting that fencing. How long does that stay up?
as once that pile of asbestos stuff is there, I imagine that.
Okay.
So I think once that's gone, it'll be safe because the transformers will be sitting there.
After
But
the heat of asbestos.
we'll talk to the borough and they'll say, yeah, it's clean. The demolition companies have to say, we're finished with this site.
Okay.
And
Well, we
there is
need
fencing.
similar fencing though for the construction of the turf fields, or that construction company.
Okay,
is
yeah,
gonna
okay.
handle it. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
All right. All right, my turn. For board goals, I sent them to you, which I shared them on Google, which they were already shared with you at one point, but then I reshared them. And so it's not actually in your email, so you might not have gotten them. So I'm going to read them to refresh our memories of what our board goals were. And we're just going to briefly talk a little bit about whether or not we thought we met them. And this is all preparation too for discussion that we'll have in greater detail when we get to the retreat. Thank you. Okay, so board goal 1 was facilitate meaningful participation and effective oversight in subcommittees. And specifically, we wanted each board member to select and review a training presentation by the NJSBA related to the function of a subcommittee on which they serve. And board members would then report back, either in your committee or to the full board, talking about what it was that you learned. So how do we think we did? I mean, I know a lot of us were at I feel like, so
conference.
They were at the conference, we went to we went to the funding formula, which roundtable, which we've been discussing. I feel like it happens.
Yeah.
So, but
I don't know that I attended a session, but I definitely spent a lot of time investing in the school funding issues.
And legal issues, you've learned a lot about.
Yeah, I mean, I think we, by virtue of the fact that a lot of us do attend the NJSLA workshop, thank you. I think you're right that we get a lot of information, and the cool thing being, just so folks know, that you can really pick and choose which of the sessions are most relevant. I think we typically do a good job kind of dividing and conquering, like even though we all wanted to do all the referendum stuff last summer, we were strategic. We were like, Linda and Jamie need to be there, Mike needs to be there. So I think we do get a lot of information. I think the trick and the intent of that goal is how do we cascade it and get it back to our folks. So, I mean, I think we're doing the first part, and maybe we need to focus a little bit more on how we share information.
I wonder if maybe I feel like we talked about this a little bit, but if we maybe more formally, like at one point of one of the meetings, like maybe a little bit after the workshop, like if you maybe just report out on maybe like a sentence or so about one of your most impactful sessions you attended, so that it could be out on record and we can kind of get a feel for it, because it's like we can say we did this and we report it in our committees, but to also let the public know that actually this is what we're doing with that time.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that was kind of my thought. Oh, I think we're doing it. I think we're not
communicating.
Yes, we're not recording our having done it. But so much of what we do comes into. I mean, it's in a committee session of curriculum, right? Like you're discussing. Like I know a whole lot about preschools. You know, like the utilization of private preschools.
I think
trying to do mandated preschools.
I just put a note out to my team because I will be doing the district goals in
Right.
either May or June, some more thing. And I put out about starting to think about next year's goals. And as we talk about this, so jumping from goal to goal is not benefit anyone, right? It's just because, but nuancing and deepening the goals, right? So as Jess said, this is a good goal to get better and understand your roles and the committees better. But if we were to report out, that's now deepening that same thought process of a strong focus is good. I think this is the first time we did these goals where the board had board goals for what they do, and we had district goals, but this is what it should be. So, and even we're going to hear about the financial was kind of like, let's figure out what the goal is this year, right?
Right.
This is some toe dipping. So I think that I think we hit it on the head there. That I think everyone has stepped up and done this, but no one knows it but us.
Yeah, right. Like, how are we keeping record? And then that's even a historical record of like, to be like, okay, so last year we attended these, maybe next year we want to try to sprinkle in some of these other topics and to kind of see those topics year after year.
It is all cataloged on NJSBA
Totally.
if you log in, but having us share out something from it, I think is important.
Yeah, and we
Well,
can
I
make
would
it, oh, I'm sorry, I was just gonna say,
And then
we
we'll
can
move on
make
to the
it
next goal.
super simple, like maybe it's something like, what are the 3 ahas? Or like, if I'm thinking about this, like, what would I report back to my team if I'm doing some work event? What 3 to 5 things? It doesn't have to be, we're grown-ups, we're all busy, we don't need like 5 pages of minutes about it. We want what struck you as a representative of our district that would be relevant for the team. Sorry, Steph.
You know,
it's
the
fine.
one thing, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that I would broaden the goal as well, in addition to going deeper, to incorporate the sort of work that I ended up doing, which was really intense self-study versus a New York, New Jersey, NJSBA
Right.
presentation.
Yeah, and I think that counts as well.
And
I
also,
do, yeah.
but like to formally incorporate that, and to the extent that it's possible, I mean, obviously where it weighs in on stuff that we discussed in exec session, that's not going to come out, but the financial piece there could be ways to share.
Yeah, and you know, for me, it's a lot of what we do is we want the public, we want to be very transparent about what we're doing, but these board goals are to make the board better. So for me, it's less about reporting out so that the public can hear, but professional development. I think that with all of us, when we're at NJSBA, we're there, we're listening, we're engaged, and we come back and we're charged and like, yes, you know, you definitely, you absorb things. But with any professional development, as time goes by, you know, you start to slip back into just routine. And for me, I think that the deepening of that goal would be, how do you 6 months later, how are you applying what you learned? And I think that's maybe where we want to focus.
Yep.
All right, the next one was oversee the creation of standardized methodology to ensure budgetary expenditures are aligned with the district's mission statement. That was where we were doing the budget and it was kind of new. I think we've done a lot with that, but we found that it's not
as
black and white.
straightforward
Right,
as
and we are, I've been, committee, finance can talk first if we want to, but I'll just, we've done a lot of work on, we've actually gone line by line, we have every line item, we try to classify every line item, where it goes. There was a lot of, really, a lot of work digging deep in there. And try to figure out where the money goes. And, you know, one of the things that's not part of our mission statement is operations. A lot of our money is just operation costs, right? Electricity, stuff like that. So we're sort of pull those things out and lump it out. And then we did some stuff, we did some work like, Mike and I noticed that our transfer, budget transfers were high. So we traced that. Like we spent 2 months chasing transfers and saying, okay, why are we transferring money from account X to account Y or line item 1 to line? And we learned a lot about what we do and how we do it behind the scenes by chasing the money that way. Okay, we're goals.
Like what you think you're doing versus what you're actually doing.
Correct. And so we're budgeting for this, but we're spending on that type of thing. And it's still within the same money, but so we learned a lot. And so I think this year when we come around, we'll be able to take that knowledge and we'll kind of make that goal. It was almost an exploratory thing, like see how we can figure this out. think we have a pretty good grasp on how to figure it out now. And now we can come down and say, okay, can we make sure that X percentage of our money is connected directly to the mission statement, X operation, to make sure we are following. I think that's where we can pay for this.
That's great. Sounds
Yeah.
like a ton of progress.
Really great work, yeah.
And it's, as Jamie says, it's not black and white, like this goes in that column, this goes in
It
that
becomes,
column.
yeah, so when you get an item, which I can't think of off the top of my head, but, one of the goals is academic excellence, and one is lifelong learning. Some things fall in both, right? So
Yeah.
how do we, so we're trying to be we're also not trying to just make work to make work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're trying to make
yeah,
it
we're just
meaningful.
trying to make sure
Right,
that
you put it like,
it's
we don't need to figure out where do Band-Aids connect to the mission statement.
So we are trying to make this a very meaningful exercise, and I think we've got a good grasp on it. And I have to applaud Mike on he's the one. We say, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this? And he goes with his team, and they come back and they've done it. And I'm not sure how hard it is.
Probably pretty difficult.
Harder than I would want. I would want.
Well, and all of these goals presumably are gonna evolve year after year. Like you said, this was our first crack at it.
The last one was ensure BOE policies are updated on a timely basis. I wish Dr. Priola was here because I feel like, because we weren't always very good at that. And I feel like we are a well-oiled machine now with that. I say that and something's gonna come up and we're gonna be like, what happened? Oops, right now with a policy that doesn't work. But I do think we've been really good with that and having enough time to meaningfully gather public input. I don't think that in an effort to reach this goal, we're not rushing policies through.
Yeah.
We are doing it in a meaningful way, deliberately. And I think that, I think that that's, right. Last thing is that the election's not coming up for a while, but the paperwork will be due in July, I guess. So, do you want me? I'll announce for the three of us. So, me, Linda, and Greg are all up for re-election. We are all going to submit again to run again for hopefully seeing this. I'm sweating as I'm talking. To see through the bond referendum, so we are going to be continuing to at least to run. So
we are glad to hear.
We are.
Yeah. I think that we spent a lot of time putting this together, and we would love the opportunity to make sure that we're seeing through what that vision was and have that continuity of this is what our goals were and this is where we'll end up.
You said it better than I did. I said if we have a debate, there's going to be certain questions where I'm like, you know what, Linda, knows that.
Teamwork.
Okay.
Can I add a quick?
Sure.
I completed my selfie badge. You guys should have got an email today saying.
I haven't either. I'm wondering
You
if
know, I
something's
think
going
it
on with our
comes
Gmail.
through our rep, and so she's got to process it.
Okay, it was supposed to be I submitted it, it's supposed to be 48 hours, so that's becoming, and also board selfie veil
Yes.
should be open.
It is, but I was just going to wait until ours. We do yours because I didn't want to overwhelm you with the evaluations. Chuck's has a timestamp on it, so we have to have his done by the end of the month, whereas ours does not. So we definitely want to do it before the retreat, or a couple weeks before the retreat, so we have time to compile the data. But it's not statutorily due any specific day, but his is. So
and when do we know the date? I'm sorry, for Chuck.
for Chuck's, we have to discuss it and vote on it by July 1st, which means we really need to finish it by the end of May, so we can we only have the one board meeting in June. So so ideally that's what we'll do in that board meeting,
We'll
right?
have an exec session before.
Yeah. So
perfect.
So I would imagine that we probably should set a date for us to try to complete that by, let's say, by how many days in May? I don't even know.
May 25th. Let's say May 25th.
May 25th.
I think
Because then, and Jay, yes,
I know,
it
so
has
I
to
think
compile,
probably
right?
take Memorial Day. But I would say the same thing that I tell my students is, well, then just plan ahead. If you want to do it on Memorial Day, you finish May 24th.
Because then NJ has to compile all your comments
Right. Oh,
and
that's
then
right.
get
And
them.
get
to-
back
So
to
there is a time loop there. So we probably want to give ourselves 2 full weeks.
Yeah, so try to do it in 2 weeks. Try to be diligent about it, especially because you know you're going to forget if you don't do it right away now.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
It's long.
The June one.
The June one.
The June one is the executive session.
Yeah,
Correct?
Yes, yes, so you put that in.
because it statutorily has to be done July 1st, right? So we can
Yeah.
vote on it at the June meeting. Okay, good. All right, public comments. We'll now begin open public comment session. Members are invited to speak, or members of the community are invited to speak for up to 3 minutes. If you'd like to make an additional minute, please wait until each person has had a chance to make their initial statement.
Additional comment.
All comments must be directed toward the board, not members of the public. According to our bylaws, comment session can last no longer than 1 hour. This is an opportunity for the board to listen, but not debate issues or enter a question and answer period. Please be aware that not all issues brought up before a board meeting will be resolved that evening. We ask you to identify yourself by stating your name and the name of your street before making a comment to the board. While public education can be an emotional issue, we strive to maintain a certain level of decorum at the meeting. Public meetings are streamed and available for replay on YouTube, and students often participate in the meetings. As such, citizens are expected to maintain a tone of courtesy and civility. All right, any comments?
Hello, Carol Stoner on Avondale Avenue. I was not planning to talk tonight, but then I heard a few things that I am concerned with. I might be wrong about the percentages, but with 85 to 90% of our students doing sports 6 days a week, why in the world would you make new freshmen take 1 semester of gym that was proposed tonight? That means that those kids can't take a full class because that is going to take up an entire spot. So 90% of those kids are staying after school. I don't know what the percentage is, it's very high. 90% of those kids are staying after school every single day already. So why is this proposal necessary? What is the reason for implementing this? The 3 school districts that were compared were not J District schools. You cannot compare Haddonfield School District to Lenape, South Brunswick, and Evesham School District. I hope that you vote this down. Please don't harm our athletes. This is too much. This noose, in addition to making them now take a half a year of Haddonfield only required physics and a half a year environmental for our rising juniors, is going to affect the ability of our kids to get to their top AP classes. Again, why would you do this? With regards to the proposed tax increases and the ridiculous proposed non-school district paying Woodmont pilot that many of us are still fighting, I am personally concerned for our residents as I'm starting to see a shift on how residents are spending their disposable money, and it's on the downturn. The cost of electric will be going up by 20%, and everyone here in Haddonfield is not hyper wealthy, but common folks. We run the Invitational, which is coming up, the Baker Invitational, and I have never seen a shift in buying t-shirts and buying ads and buying like things. Like it's shifted, and it shifted this year for the first time. So I think people are starting to really feel it a lot. And not that you don't need to make your budget, I get it, but I'm just saying that it's starting to really affect people. I'm seeing it in just what our ad sales are, like it's just going down. So anyway, I just wanted to, as it comes with the pilot and not being evaluated with the increase, like we're gonna still fight that, but we just want to be mindful of the fact that not everybody has disposable money.
Thank you. And sharing too that at a commissioner meeting is helpful because, you know, that just helps to have them hear from community members as well.
They hear from me, not sick of hearing from me. So I do hope that other people, it can't just be the people in this room.
Right.
And people don't understand the impact of their wallet. So that's going to go up for most people, what, $500, if I understand correctly, roughly, you know. So that's a lot of money, right, on $750,000 evaluated. But I don't think people understand the impact of what's going to happen to their classroom sizes, what's going to happen to the traffic, what's going to happen to how many people that's going to bring in. It's exponential to the point that people don't get it. And honestly, they don't care. So there's a few of us who care, and we're there all the time. But, you know, I keep posting it and I keep speaking up. But you're right. And I'm glad that you are speaking up because you know how much it's going to impact the schools. I know what it's going to impact the schools. Like we didn't have that class size. So, so I'm still fighting.
All right, thank you.
You know.
Anyone else? Any comment?
Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
My name is Watson. I'm from a security company here in New Jersey, and we're just putting our information out to see if anybody needs extra security for the kids in this area. And we're going all over New Jersey just to see if anybody needs extra security for the next school year that's coming up. We have a lot of qualified officers that can do security for the schools, after games, proms, escorts, whatever you need the security for. Our security company is Azil Protection, and we're here based in New Jersey and we're in Philadelphia. So I don't want to step on nobody's shoes or feet. If y'all have your own security, that's great with the school board, but if you need any extra help, we would like to help you out in any way on helping your kids in the neighborhood. Or if you know anybody at a store around here, or I've been hearing a lot of vandalism around here, we can help with that too.
Great, thank you. Do you have a flyer?
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know who to give it to.
You
but
can
I'll
give it to
it to him. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you for coming out.
Yes.
All right, seeing no more comments, we will close public session or public comments. All right, so we are at a working session, so I won't read them all, but.
Well, we are approving.
Oh, there are, so.
We have personnel items.
So just for where it says the approval ones, right? Yes, so personnel, do you want me to read those personnel ones?
Yeah, so, and then we'll do personnel, and then separately we'll do the budget under business.
Just so it's the reason why we are doing some approvals, it is an action meeting, is there statutory dates we have to do things by. All non-renewals have to be done by a certain date. And then Gino and Mike's contracts have to go to the county to be approved and come back, and that has some time. So they are time pressure things. And then the budget has to be formally adopted by the 12th. So we won't have another. So in order to make sure we meet all these statutory dates, we had to do some approval items.
Okay, all right, so personnel, reemployment of non-represented and represented staff and non-certified staff for the 25-26 school year. Approval to submit the Camden County Business Administrators contract.
I know, I circled that. It's typo there.
For Michael Catalano, School Business Administrator, of all the typos, the one that gets you paid.
We're not approving that one now.
I'm gonna put contact for you. Approval to submit the Camden County Superintendent contract for Dr. Priolo. A motion?
Take a pick.
Staff, Linda. Discussion, comments? All right, Mike?
Mr. Essenpler,
Yes.
Ms. Hollingworth,
Yes.
Mr. Knuckles,
Yes.
Mr. Ritter,
Yes.
Ms. Sonic,
Yes.
Vice President Hochgirdle,
Yes.
Ms. Benecki,
Yes.
Ms. Dress,
Yes.
President Crooked.
Yes. All right, approval of business and finance recommendations, recommended be adopted 25-26 budget as listed below. Motion? Greg and Jess, comments? All right, Mike?
Ms. Hollingworth,
Yes.
Mr. Knuckles,
Yes.
Mr. Ritter,
Yes.
Ms. Sonic,
Yes.
Vice President Hochgirdle,
Yes.
Ms. Benecki,
Yes.
Ms. Dress,
Yes.
Mr. Essenpler,
Yes.
President Crooked.
Yes. Okay, items for approval for next week or next 2 weeks, I don't know, next meeting. Governance. It's a lot of second readings there. There are any first readings? Are there going to be first readings added after the policy meeting? Do we know? Or
We'll close next. There's nothing
nothing urgent?
urgent. It's gonna happen.
That's right.
All right, curriculum and special ed.
I echo Meg's comment earlier, the summer reading editions, some of them are already on my TBR, so.
All right, personnel.
I do have a question about the Mr. Klaus, a couple of years ago, you looked at the stipends and you reworked some sort of rubric that to make sure that what people were being paid was equitable in comparison to what other people were doing and that kind of thing. Are you able to just talk to us about that, or?
Yeah. So yeah, we actually, as part of our, not this recent negotiation, one before that, we sat down, we worked through and we adjusted a lot of the stipends. I'm actually going to be reporting out about extracurriculars in the June meeting, so I can cover that work then. But to work with the HEA this year, we discussed that what we have in our contract doesn't always align because these evolve. So as interest wanes in one area, we might replace the, I don't know, Club X with Club Y, using that same stipend money. So we are going to sit down with the HEA and make sure that we are keeping up and aligning.
I didn't know who that was. I was like,
It's my go to bed alarm, actually.
Almost time.
See you guys
keeping you up,
see you guys in 2 weeks. So I'll be able to report that out.
Okay,
And talk
thank
about that because, we do, one of the challenges that we have, once we do the similar thing with a couple of things, job descriptions and stipends and even our book list. If we stop offering a certain club, we don't pull it off the contract because if it comes back, we want to know about what. We're not worried about getting reapproved, but it kind of tells us what they've said, what the stipend number was. So we leave things in there, so we have a lot of stuff that's not being filled. So we're working with the HCA to make sure we're really getting that nice and tight. That way, we all know exactly where that is. So I'll be able to report about that. And I'm also going to have numbers of the participants and stuff like that.
Great.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know when this came up before, it was specifically some concern with performing arts and the level of involvement that those instructors have, similar to coaches, and that level of equity. So that would be good to see.
And I mean, so you're going to, I mean, some of the stuff happening in elementary schools, the enrichment stuff is wonderful. So we'll talk about that.
Great, thank you.
All right, business and finance. Approval of the minutes. Oh, thank you to the, going back to the business and finance. Thank you to the HMHS Boys Cross Country Team for the boosters for the donation of the singlets. One of the things we always talk about is how lucky we are to have so many involved boosters and contributors to our programs, because when our, we don't always have the funds. So thank you to the boosters. Appreciate that. And the minutes.
I had seen a typo in the minutes when I first went over them, but I can't find it now.
It's like in the first word.
I found it. It is in the executive session.
Yes.
We were not briefed, we were briefed.
Yes.
Sir.
I'll make sure to approve your contact.
Yeah.
Wow, we're keeping check
That
out.
one's gonna keep coming back to haunt me.
All right, any items for future consideration? We will review the board goals come the board retreat. Anything else? Bless you.
Thank you. Quiet. It was so quiet.
Okay, motion to adjourn? May, meeting adjourned.